Hi folks, in this lesson I'm going to show you a little bit about bending. So maybe you're a beginner guitar player and haven't tried any bending yet. So basically what bending is, it's a way of getting to a note or getting from one note to another note. Okay, now what I mean by that is, you could just play one note on the guitar simply just by plucking it like that, or you could bend to that note from a note below like this. So instead of having just, you could have this. Okay, it's still just one note, but instead of just playing that note, we're bending up to it like that. Bending can be a way of getting from one note to another as well. So for example, instead of playing these two notes, you could play the first one and then bend up to the second one like that. So they're technically two types of bends. The basic technique is the same though. So if you've tried bending already, you might only be trying to do it with one finger at the moment. To get the best control out of it, you'll want to be using maybe 2 or 3 fingers. So have a go at this just now. So if you pop your third finger on the B string on the 8th fret, and you're going to use your first finger and second finger as backups to help you push the string up, okay? Now they actually don't need to be precisely in any frets. You can bunch them up together like this. In fact, sometimes it's actually better if you do, because it helps support your third finger more. So you can see I've got my third finger on the 8th fret on the B string, these fingers bunched up right next to it, and they're going to help you push the string up. Okay, so give that a little go just now. Okay, and you should find that the string's a lot easier to move than it would be if you just try it with one finger. So something else that'll help you a little bit to begin with, especially if you're doing these kind of sort of big bends like this, okay, is if you hook your thumb over the top of the guitar. What this does, it kind of stabilizes the neck of the guitar. If you don't have your thumb up there, when you bend up, I'll just demonstrate, you might notice that the guitar neck goes up a little bit when I push up like that. Now the way I see it is that's kind of like wasted energy, wasted force of you pushing the guitar neck up like this. If you have your thumb on the top of the guitar when you're doing the bend, the neck can stay still, and all that energy that you're putting into pushing will just go into the string and not actually lifting the neck up. So it'll actually be a little bit easier to do the bend if you do it like that. It's probably more important, especially if you've got thick strings on your guitar, because it'll be a lot more difficult to bend those ones. Okay, so yeah, just going back to what I was saying at the start there, bending is a way of getting to another note. So when you bend string, you've obviously got to be conscious about what note that you're meant to be bending to. Okay, so if we go back to the 8th fret on the B string again, so if we want to bend up this note, what we call a whole tone bend or a full bend, this is 2 frets. It'll make it sound like 2 frets above, okay? So I'm going to make the 8th fret sound like fret 10, basically. So if you listen to fret 10, and then we're going to play fret 8 and bend it up. You can bend really slowly until you get it to the same pitch as it would be if you played fret 10. Okay, best thing to do is just to practice that. And you can practice doing smaller bends as well. So maybe you only want to bend to fret 9. So you can see, you just basically just don't bend the string quite as far. Something else that beginners will do at the start as well is that you might hear that your bends sound a little bit like this. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but after the bend, there was a note that kind of came down afterwards. So have a listen to it again. Okay, so what you want to do is stop your bends at the top. Okay, so when they've reached that pitch, so we'll bend up to fret 10. Just pop your hand on the string down here, and then when you release the string afterwards, you're not going to hear it come back down again like that. So you can have... Okay, so that'll just take a bit of practice, but that'll make your bends a heck of a lot cleaner sounding. So that's like sort of basic bending from one note to another. I mean, obviously you get different types of bends. You do get bends that have the note come back down again. That's called a bend and release. So that would sound something like this. So you can hear clearly it comes back down again to that pitch. Okay. So that's obviously two different notes. It's a bit like going... or... So that's a bend and release. And there's a few other types of bends that you'll discover along the way as well. Another thing that you could do once you kind of start getting the hang of these bends is to try putting some vibrato on the top as well. That's probably a little bit more of an advanced technique. But basically when you bend the string up to pitch, so when you get up there, you can try wiggling the string a little to add some vibrato in. And it just adds a bit more character to the note as well. So I think that's pretty much what we've covered there, is basically just bending from one note to another. Be aware of how far in pitch you're meant to be bending. So is it a whole tone? Is it just a half tone? Okay. Or maybe it's even more than it. Maybe it's like a tone and a half, you know? That's a pretty big bend. And yeah, basically remember, you're not just bending the string, you're moving it to make it sound like another note. And I think as long as you've got that in mind, with a bit of practice, you'll get your bends sounding pretty solid. Okay, good luck.